Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. We'll continue the topic which we started yesterday, that was grouping of control count data. So what we discussed was that for each control count location you have a set of adjustment factors for each day and each month and so on. So if you have like 10 control count locations, you will have 10 factors for each day and for each month. So if you can group them together, by grouping we meant average. If you can, instead of using 10 different values, if you can use an average value for all the stations, okay, for each day, then it will be easier for you. Okay, the life will be easier, the analysis will be easier, the data set will be less, and so on. So for grouping, we had the criteria that if you take the average, okay, and the average is within plus minus 0.1 difference from the individual values, that means grouping is valid, grouping is correct, otherwise grouping is not correct. Let us start with an example today for the same grouping of control count data. Now you see here the data is given from 4 control count locations. So you can see the name of the locations there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and for each location I have the daily adjustment factors. So for each day of the week I have the values. Okay, so now I'm looking to find out, can I group these 4 factors, 4 stations together or not? Can I group the factors from these 4 stations together or not? So for grouping, you calculate the average for each day of the week. Okay, and remember, we have to group the factors for the day respectively. So you cannot group Monday with Tuesday. Okay, so we are trying to group all the factors for Monday from all the stations, and same thing for Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, each day will have its own factor. So the average factor for Monday is this, the Tuesday is this, and so on. Okay, so average of these 4 values are given in the last column. Okay, and then we apply the criteria that the difference between the average and each of these 4 values should not be more than plus minus 0.1. Okay, so if you take the difference of 1.01 with 1.05, you will get a value less than 0.1. Okay, it will be 0.04. If you take the difference of 1.01 with 1, you will get a difference of 0.01. Okay, so again we are fine. Then 1.01 with 1.06, you will get 0.05, and if you take the difference of 1.01 with 0.92, you will get 0.09. Okay, so in Monday all factors are within plus minus 0.1 from the average, no problem. Second day, Tuesday, you take the difference with the first station, get 0.08. You take the difference with the second station, you will get 0. You take the difference with the third station, you will get 0.04. And if you take the difference with the fourth station, now you will get a value which is 0.13. Okay, so 0.13 is beyond my range, so I will mark this. You can see it is marked here with bold color. Okay, you come here, you take the difference with all these values, you will find it to be within the range. Then you come to Thursday, again you take the difference, and all the values are within plus minus 0.1 from the average. You come here, Friday, same thing. Saturday, now if you take the difference, 0.98, 0.85, the difference is 0.13. So more than the range. Okay, for station 1, Saturday more than the range, so I marked it here. Then this one 0.04, no problem. This one 0.08, no problem. This one 0.23, big problem, right? Big problem. So again I marked it. Then I come here and take the difference. This one 0.09, this one 0.02, this one 0.08, and this one is again 0.18. Okay, although it is not marked, let me mark it here for your convenience. Okay, so okay, so this value is also, other values are shown in bold colors, so this value is also out of the range and not marked, so I marked it. Okay, so the first response, the first conclusion is that these 4 stations cannot be combined. Why? Because even if one value is out of the range, we cannot combine the remaining values. Even if one value is out of the range, we cannot combine the remaining values. Okay. So when you got Tuesday out of the range, the first value, even if you didn't look at the other values, this is fine. This is fine for the result that these four stations cannot be combined. And then why did I calculate all these values? Why did I stop here? Because maybe I can combine the remaining three stations together and keep station 4 as separate. So instead of having 4 sets of values, I will still have 2 sets of values. Okay, so 2 is still better than 4, not in terms of number, I mean in terms of convenience. Okay, so this is why I calculate all the values for all the days, so that I can see in the end if it is possible to combine any of these stations. If not these 4, then if I can combine any 2 or 3 stations together, it may still serve my purpose. Okay, so the 4 stations cannot be combined together. Now, which 3 stations? Okay, so I should try to combine 3 stations at least. So which 3 stations should be selected to be combined together? Should I combine 1, 2, 3, or should I combine 2, 3, and 4? Should I combine 1, 3, and 4? Which ones? Then you will look which station has more values out of the range. Which station has more values out of the range? So there were 4 values out of the range. This one, this one, this one, and the circled one. Out of these 4 values, 3 belong to station 4. Okay, so most of the problem is created by station 4. Okay, so we kick the station 4 out of our equation. Okay, we kick station 4 out, and you will try to combine the remaining 3 stations, and you will apply the same criteria, calculate the average, and take the difference and see if the difference is within the range. Okay, so this is now the combination of the grouping of the 3 stations 1, 2, 3. Okay, coincidentally, station 4 was not out of the has more values out of the range. Okay, so that's why I kicked out station 4. In some cases, it may be station 2 as well. If station 2 had more values out of the range, I would have taken out station 2. Okay, so why I had taken station 4? Not because it is the last one, because it has more values out of the range. Okay, so when you combine 1, 2, 3, the averages are these. Okay, and when you take the difference, for example, you take the difference of 1.04 with these 3 values, you can see all of them are very close to each other. Okay, now these 3 stations did not have any problem in all the days except on Saturday, right? The first 3 stations did not have any value out of the range except for Saturday. So obviously, when you took out station 4, the values will not go out of the range for other days. Okay, they will now come more closer to the average. The values of the first 3 stations in the days where they were already in the range will not go out of the range because you have taken out 1 station. In fact, they will become closer to the average. Okay, so earlier, if this value was you see here, the Monday, we'll take the difference of the Monday value of the first station from the average. The difference was 0.04, but now if you see, the difference is 0.01. So after taking out station 4, values have come much closer to the average. Okay, so I don't have to worry about the other days because other days were already in the range, and after taking out station 4, they have come closer to the range. The only thing I have to worry about is station 1 for Saturday. Station 1 for Saturday has a value of 0.85, and now the new average is 0.9. And if you take the difference 0.9 and 0.85, you will find 0.05, which is now in the range. So the problem is solved. So now we can combine and we can group the factors from these 3 stations together, and station 4 will be taken as it is separately. Okay, so we have instead of having 4 sets of factors, now we have 2 sets of factors. One the group of 1, 2, 3, and the other one for station 4. Okay, now where do we use these daily adjustment factors and monthly adjustment factors? They are used for calculating AADTs for the coverage count locations. Now remember, for coverage count locations, we have usually 1 day of data. Okay, so first of all, you find out for which day you have taken the data. So the day of the week will be termed here as an I. So I can be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. And J is the month in which the data is taken. So first of all, find out on which day and which month the data is taken, and then you multiply with the daily and monthly adjustment factor of that day and month. Okay, from the closest control count location, or from the closest group of control count location, whatever is the case. So whatever is the closest control count location, from that coverage point, you will multiply the daily adjustment factor and the monthly adjustment factor with the volume of the coverage count location, and you will get AATT. This is the same principle which we used for the limited network study as well. Remember, we had data for one day and we multiply with the adjustment factor, we got the data as an average for the whole week, okay, or the average for the whole study period. Okay, so this is same thing. Okay, so if you let us apply this in this case. So for a control count location, daily adjustment factors are given in the first two columns, and the monthly adjustment factors are given in the remaining four columns. Okay, and closer coverage count location was observed for one day, and in that day 1000 vehicles were observed, and this data was taken on Tuesday in July. Okay, so we have to find out the AADT at this location on which the data is taken on Tuesday in July. Okay, and this control count location is closer to a this coverage count location is closer to a control count location which has these adjustment factors. Okay, as I said, we will multiply the count which is taken for a day on coverage count, which is 1000. Now 1000 should be multiplied with the daily adjustment factor of Tuesday and monthly adjustment factor of July. So 1000 multiplied by 1.121 and 0.913. This will give you the AADT at this coverage count location. Okay, the location where you have taken 1000 vehicles value. Okay, so life becomes easier, right? Life has become much easy. So 1000 multiplied by 1.121 and 0.913. How much will you get? You cannot ignore the value out of the range only because then you are taking what would you do with that value? What would you do with that value? You need a value for two. For example, if Monday value is out of the range for station 4. So if you have a coverage point near station 4, what would you do for Monday? You will use the average. That will be wrong. Okay. And if you are using the value for station 4, then for one day you are using the value for station 4. For other days you are using the average. It is becoming more confusing. Okay, so you cannot ignore the value for a specific day. When you are grouping the data, you cannot ignore the value for a specific day. Either you take all the values or you ignore all the values of a station. Okay, you cannot mix it. Mixing will become more confusing, and it will create more errors and mistakes. Okay, so whenever you are grouping, you group all the values together, or you leave the whole station out, and that's it. Okay, in this case, in the previous case, we have left station 4 completely out instead of picking up 1, 2, or 3 values, and Secondly, the average with that station in the grouping, the average will not be correct as well. The average, you are using the average which has a value which is out of the range, so average will not be correct. Okay, so I was saying, what will be the ADT at this location? The adjustment factor of Tuesday and the adjustment factor of July. How much ADT will you get? Yeah, 1023 or 1024 vehicles per day. Okay, 1024 vehicles per day. Okay, so we have earlier discussed the concept of VMT. So in the previous example, the previous example which we did yesterday, we calculated VMT for 8-hour period, right? We calculated VMT using the volume of 8 hours period. Now, if you take AADT, you can calculate the VMT for the entire air, because AADT is the average of the entire air. So if you multiply with 365, it will give you the total volume of the air. It will give you the total volume of the air. So if you want VMT, vehicle miles traveled, or vehicle kilometers traveled, if you are measuring the length in kilometers, can be calculated using AADT. So AADT multiplied by length, it will give you average vehicle miles traveled for the year, average. Okay, but it is still for 1 day. AADT into L is vehicle miles traveled for 1 day, and then you multiply with 365, you will get vehicle miles traveled for the entire 365 days of the year. Okay, so you can do that as well using AADT. Okay, so basically the time period of VMT will be the same as the time period of the volume. If the volume is for the entire year, then VMT is for the entire 365 days of the year. And if volume is for 8 hours, like we did in the previous example, the VMT will also be for 8 hours. Okay. Again, VMT means vehicle miles traveled. Okay. So this is the same table which I showed you in the previous example, where we calculate the AADT. Okay. So near this control count location, we have 6 more coverage count locations. On all the locations, they have collected the data for 1 day. So they have 24-hour counts for these locations, 6 locations. These are the values of the counts. So these are 1 day volumes. And then the day and the month for each value is mentioned here. Okay. And the length of the segment is mentioned here. And they're asking us to calculate VMT for the entire year. They're asking us to calculate VMT for the entire year. Okay, so first of all, if I go back, the equation is this. I have the length and 365, obviously the number of days in the year, it will not change, but I need AADT for each point. For each of these points, I need AADT. Okay, so this is 24-hour count. So like we did in the previous example, this count is taken on Wednesday in March. So first of all, you calculate AADT for station 1. How do you calculate it? Take this value, multiply by the adjustment factor of Wednesday and adjustment factor of March. So Wednesday adjustment factor is 1.108 and March has a factor of 1.100. So when you multiply 9,120 with these two values, you will get the AADT for station 1. And then you multiply AADT with the length, 3 miles, and the 365 days of the year, you will get VMT for the entire year. I think I have, yeah. I've done this calculation, so this is what I was saying. AADT at station 1 will be the value at station 1 multiplied with the adjustment factor of Wednesday because it was taken on Wednesday, multiplied with the adjustment factor of March because it was taken on March. Okay, so this is the AADT, and then you multiply AADT with the length, which is 3 miles, and 365, the number of days in the year. So VMT for station 1 is this one. Okay, is I think 12,171,424. Okay, something like this. Okay, so big value. These are the remaining. These are the values for all the stations now. Okay, I applied the same methodology. Okay, so for each value, I multiply with the adjustment factor of the day and the month. Okay, and then I multiply with the length, and then I multiply with 365. Okay, so after doing this whole bunch of multiplication, you will get these values. Okay, so these are the vehicle miles traveled for these stations the entire year. Okay, now which one is has the highest VMT? The highest VMT is for station 4. Okay, now why? Because station 4 has more length and more volume. The length and the volume for station 4 is the highest, so VMT is the highest. Okay, so there's no problem here, it's very obvious. What about the lowest? Which one has the lowest VMT? Okay, the lowest VMT is for station 5. Lowest VMT is for station 5. Okay, now if you look at the volume and the length of station 5, both are, the lowest volume is on station 1. Okay, but station has one has more length, and the lowest length is for station 6, but station 6 has more volume. Okay, so you see the combination of volume and length has, but it is very close to both the values. It is very close to the lowest volume and it is very close to the lowest length. Okay, so that means the segment or the segment with the least importance or least usage is station 5. Okay. Now when we say usage, we are combining two things, the length and the volume. So the combined effect of length and volume tells us that the least usage is for station 5 and the highest usage is for station 4. Okay, so this is the benefit of calculating VMT, that you can find out which station is more important in terms of its usage. Okay, and when you get the factors in the end, VMT, you don't have to worry about, okay, I should look at the volume or should I look at the length. Both values are already combined together in VMT values. Okay, then we have some specialized counting studies. Now, up till now, we have talked about counting volumes in the field. Okay, in a specialized counting, and the volume was collected on from segments, right, or from intersections. Okay, so we were interested in how many vehicles are passing from this segment or from this intersection. In a specialized counting studies, our aim is to find out number of vehicles coming in and going out of an area. The specialized counting studies are done to find out number of vehicles coming in and going out of an area. The entire area is your study location, or it can be more than one zones or more than one areas as well. Okay. So in specialized counting studies, the difference between specialized counting studies and the previous ones is that you are trying to find out how many vehicles went into these specific areas and came out of these specific areas. Okay. So we will discuss three types of specialized counting studies: origin, destination, cordon counts, and screen line counts. Okay. First of all, we will discuss origin and destination studies. First of all, what do we mean by origin and destination? Origin means the start of your trip, destination means the end of your trip. Okay, origin means start of the trip, destination means end of the trip. Origin, destination, so the studies in which you are trying to find out origin of the trip and the destination of the trip. Origin destination studies can be done in three ways: license plate studies, postcard studies, and interview studies. Okay, license plate, postcard, interview. License plate studies, what you do is you put observers on the entry and exit point of each area. So for example, you have four cities in your region, and you want to find you want to do origin destination studies for them. So you want to find out from which what was the origin of a vehicle, from which city it was coming from, and in which city it was going. Okay, now cities is a big term. Usually our areas are the parts within the city, because obviously within the cities you will not have much volume. But anyways, so for example, you have 4 different areas. Now you will place observers at the entry and exit point of each area, and these observers will record the license plate numbers of the cars which are entering and leaving the area. So when a car enters the area, the observer will record, okay, the car with this license plate number has entered the area. And when the car leaves the area, the observer will record the car with this license plate number has left the area. And obviously you can have more than one observers. At each entry and exit point, you can have more than one observers. There is no limitation on the number of observers. Okay, you can take videos as well, or you can use any other equipment to get the license plate number. Okay, it's up to you. In the end, what will tell me the origin destination when I come back to the office with the data, and then I will match. Okay, I will match the vehicle with this license plate number was found to be coming out of this area. So this area becomes origin. Now, where did this vehicle enter? In which area did this vehicle enter? Okay, so you will find, okay, this vehicle came out of area 2 and went into area 4. Okay, from the license plate number. So the origin of that vehicle will be area 2, the destination will be area 4. Okay, so this is how you do the license plate technique for origin and destination. Then you have postcard studies. In postcard studies, you prepare small questionnaire cards. Okay, so they are not like questionnaire with 10-20 questions. No, they are very simple, small question cards, and you write questions on one side of the card, and behind the card you have your address. Okay, we used to have these cards when we were kids. We used to have these cards, and we used to send greetings to our friends and relatives on Eid and other occasions. Okay, so there used to be cards coming with this. I don't know, maybe if you go to the post office, you may find a postcard. You may still find postcards there. But anyways, if you don't have postcards, you can make your own. Okay, so one side has the questions and the other side has your address. So you distribute the cards to the drivers. Okay, on signals, on intersections, in the parking areas, you distribute it to the drivers. Okay, and then you tell them, okay, whenever you have the time to fill the card, fill it, and you it to us. Okay, you post it to us. So they will fill up the card. In the card, you basically ask the questions about origin, destination, obviously, because this is our. You may ask one or two more questions as well. Okay, so postcard technique, then you have the chance to get some more data. So for example, you can ask them what was the purpose of their trip. Okay, you can ask them how did you go from this area to that area. Okay, the mode or the choice of their transport. Okay, so in postcard studies you have more, you can have more data. Then you can have interview studies. In interview studies, you have a full questionnaire interview, and then it can be used for many purposes. It can be used for census data, it can be used for transportation planning, it can be used for designing bus transport system and so on and so forth. Interview studies are more detailed, and usually it requires you to go either to the houses of the people. Okay, so you randomly select some houses and do interviews for them in their houses, or you have to go to certain destinations, for example, shopping malls, office areas, and you do the interview studies there. Okay, anyways, it has nothing to do with collecting data on the roads. In interview studies, data is not collected on the roads, it is collected where people are relaxed and they have the time to answer your questions without any danger. Okay. Now, what is each of these method has its own advantages and disadvantages, and license plate technique. The advantages, you are directly getting the data from the field, but the disadvantages that you need so many observers. Okay, and secondly, while you are writing the license plate number, you will miss many vehicles. Okay, postcard technique, you have to wait for the postcards to come to you before you do the analysis, and obviously some drivers will not respond. Okay, interview studies, they are so long that you cannot cover the whole population. Interview studies are never for the whole population. Okay, so, and obviously they will take more time and they will require you to go to more places and so on. Okay, so each study, each technique has its own advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so you have to select one of them, but keep in mind there is no perfect technique. Okay, once you collect the origin destination data, you can prepare origin destination matrix. It is also called as an OD matrix. So you can see an OD matrix here in the slide here. Okay, so OD matrix, origin destination matrix, means the same thing. Okay, now so the first column lists down the areas as destinations. So in this region, there were 4 areas for which the OD survey was done. The OD count was done. Okay, so each of these areas can be a destination to some people. It can be origin for some people. Okay, so the first column lists down these areas as destinations, and the first row, the top row, lists down these areas as origins. Okay, so if someone was coming from area 1, you will write it in this column. Okay, from area 2, you will write it in this column, and so on. If someone was going into area 1, you will write it in this row, and someone was going into area 2, then you will write it in the second row, and so on. Okay, so if you want to find out total number of people who came out of area 1 according to your study, then you will take the summation of the values from the first column, which is 88. If you want to know how many people came out of area 2, then you will take the summation of the second column, which is 99, and so on. If you want to find out how many people according to your study went into area 1, you will take the summation of the first row, which is 95. If you want to know how many people went into area 2 according to your study, then you take the summation of the second row, which is 106. Okay, now irrespective of the method you apply, there is a high chance that these numbers are not representing the full count. Like I told you in license plate technique, you will miss some cars. Okay, you will miss some cars for which you will not be able to record the license plate number. Okay, so in postcard technique, I told you some drivers will not respond to you, or they will respond so late that you cannot consider them. Interview studies, as I said, it takes more time, it takes so much work, you cannot cover the whole population. So in any case, this matrix, okay, cannot be considered as a full count of origins and destinations. Okay, so to find out the full count, I have to calibrate this matrix. How do I calibrate? First of all, I go to the field and I go to the field. Okay, and for each area, I will take the volume of people coming in and going out. Okay, people coming in and going out. So at each entry and exit point of the same areas of these 4 areas, for example, I will collect volume of people coming in and going out. Now you may say, then why did you do the origin destination study if you had to take the volume? This volume cannot tell me from which area the person was coming, right? Okay, I observed 210 vehicles going or coming out of area 1. If you see, the count is given. This 210 is what? The volume which is taken in the field. And this volume is, you see, written in the origin column of 1, area 1. So that means 210 people came out of area 1. Okay, these people came out of area 1. Where did they go? Can I know from this value? No. When you are in the field, you don't know from where people are coming and going out. Okay, you can only count number of vehicles. Okay, but you cannot know from where they are coming or where they are going. Okay, so in this case, since I was at the exit point of area 1, so I assume that 210 people came out of area 1. Similarly, 200 people came out of area 2 and so on. Okay, on the other hand, the people who are, there will be some observers who will be taking the data for people who are coming into each area. Okay, so how many people went into area 1? 250. How many people went into area 2? 310 and so on. Okay, so the volume is taken from the field, but this volume is either missing the origin. So these values are missing the origin, right? They went into the area of these destinations. What is their origin? I don't know. Okay, or they are missing the destination. So for example, these values are missing the destination. I know these values are from origin of these stations. Okay, but what is their destination? I don't know. Okay, so these counts can only be used for calibrating the actual matrix. Okay, your main aim is to fill out this matrix with the accurate numbers. Okay, with the full counts. Okay, these numbers are not yet the full counts. Okay, and the volume which is taken from the field cannot be considered as a direct value in the origin destination matrix, because for those volumes either you do not know the origin or you do not know the destination. Okay, so how to do the calibration? For calibration, we will calculate the a sort of an adjustment factor. Okay, I think they are calling it adjustment factor, so we call it adjustment factor. Okay, to find out this adjustment factor, first of all, you will calculate the ratio of the sum of each column with the volume of that column. Sum of each column with the volume of that column. Okay, so for example, for the first column, the ratio will be 210 upon 88. Second column will be 200 upon 99. Third column will be 325 on 97 and so on. Okay, similarly for each row as well. So first of all, you have to find out the adjustment factors. What are the adjustment factors? Adjustment factors are the ratio of the volume with the summation of each the summation of the respective row and column. Okay, so you have to take the volume of that row and column and divide it with the summation of that row and column. Okay, so for the first row, it will be 250 upon 95, 310 upon 106 and so on. Okay, so for each row and each column, you will have a adjustment factor, the ratio of the volume and the summation of the column or the row. Okay, then you will multiply the average will multiply the average of the factor of that row and column with the value in that cell. You will take the value in each cell, you will take each and every value from the matrix, and you will multiply that value with the average of the factor of that row and column. So 50 should be multiplied with the average factor of the first row and first column. 10 should be multiplied with the average value of the first row and first column and the second row. Okay, 15 should be multiplied with the average factor of first column and the third row, and so on. Okay, first of all, find out the factors, then multiply each value with the average of the factors. So you will have new values, right? You will have a new matrix after multiplying. Whatever number you get, you will put it in that matrix. So 50 after multiplying with the average of the average factor of the first row and first column, you will get a new number and you will replace it with 50. You will replace 50 with that number. Okay, whatever number you get after multiplication, you will replace the original number, the initial number, with that new value. Okay, and then you will recap. So when you change all these values, the summation of the rows and columns will change, right? The volume is coming from the field, it will not change. The volume from the field, it will never change. Only the values of the matrix are changing. The summation of each row and column will change. Summation of each row and column will change. Now, so with the new summation, you will calculate new adjustment factors. Okay, so instead of 95, you will have a new value. So then you will divide 250 with that new value, and you will get a new adjustment factor for the first row. Similarly, instead of 88, you will have a new value, new summation. You will divide 210 with that new value. You will have a new adjustment factor. Okay. Now it is possible that you may not finish this whole thing in one trial. You may have to perform multiple trials. So where would you stop? The criteria is if your new calculated factors, the factors, adjustment factors which you will calculate for each row and each column, if all of them, for all the rows and all the columns, are between 0.9 and 1.1. If all the factors are between 0.9 and 1.1, you will stop. You will say, okay, this is how much accuracy I want, and this is where we are stopping. Okay. The ideal value of all the factors should be 1. The ideal value for all the factors should be 1, because 1 means what? Summation of the row and column is equal to the volume, which is what we want. We want the summation of the row and column to be equal to the volume from the field. So when this becomes 1, we will finish. But to make it 1, it will take so many iterations. Your kids will come to graduate and UOB. Okay. So we cannot make so many trials. Okay. So we have limited ourselves. Even if we get the factor close to 1, we'll stop. How much close to 1? Between 0.9 and 1.1 is enough. If all the factors are between 0.9 and 1.1, we'll stop here. Okay. So I have tried to explain the calculation. Now let me do show you the calculations themselves. Okay. So you can see the factors here. Okay. These are the factors for each column, and these are the factors for each row. Okay. So 250 upon 95 equals 2.63. 310 upon 106 equals 2.92, and so on. Similarly, 210 upon 88 is 2.39. 200 upon 99 is 2.02, and so on. Okay. Now, if I want to convert 50, if I want to calculate the value to replace 50, then 50 should be multiplied with the average of 2.39 and 2.63. Okay. Let me calculate a couple of values here. Okay. Take out your calculators. So we can calculate a couple of values here. So 50 multiplied by the average of the first row, the factor of the first row and the first column. So first row has 2.63, first column has 2.39. So 2.63, 2.39 divided by 2. Okay, how much is this? How much is this? 133. Okay, so 50 will be replaced with 133. Okay. Similarly, if you want to replace 8, then 8 should be multiplied with the factor of the average of the factors for the second column and the first row. 139. I don't know what you guys are doing. Give me one value. There are so many values. 126. Okay, 126. Okay, so this is 50 will be replaced with 126. Okay, you have to round off the numbers. 126. Now let us say I want to replace 8. So what should be the new value for this row and column? So I'll multiply with the average of the factor 2.63 because in the first row and 2.02 because in the second column. Okay, so 8 multiplied by 2.02 plus 2.63 divided by 2. Okay, so how much will be this? How much is this? Or 19, huh? 18.6 means 19. Okay, so you will do this for all the values in this matrix. Okay, you will do this for all the values in the matrix and you will get this new matrix. Okay, so this is a new matrix and you can see they have done some rounding off here. Okay, some rounding off is already done. Okay, so you have the new summations of each row and column which are represented. Okay, so T values are the new summations. Okay, so I told you with the new summations you will recalculate the adjustment factors. So the adjustment factors are recalculated, which you can see in the last column and the last row. So 250 upon 267 gives you 0.94. 310 upon 292 gives you 1.06. Similarly, 210 upon 232 gives you 0.9. 200 upon 251 gives you 0.8 and so on. Okay, so each row and column has a new summation and a new factor. What was the range of the factor? Acceptable range 0.9 to 1.1. 0.9 to 1.1. Are all these factors in the range? No. This value is out of the range in the third row, and the second column value is also out of the range. Okay, again the rule is the same. Okay, and in this case there's a better way to explain it. Now can I just change third row and second column without changing anything else? No, because even if I change one value, for example if I change this value 44, okay, which is, no sorry, let's say 27. If I change 27, okay, then 27 is in the second row and second column in the third row, no problem. Okay, but what about the other values in the third row? If I change 37, it will also change the first column as well. Okay, if I change 111, then it will change the third column as well. So again, you have to change the whole matrix. Even if one factor is out of the range, you have to change the whole matrix. You have to apply the same procedure to the whole matrix again. Okay, so now you will apply the procedure, the same procedure with the new factors. So the values will be multiplied with the average of the new adjustment factors. So 125 will be multiplied with the average of 0.9 and 0.94. Okay, 19 will be multiplied with the average of 0.8 and 0.94 and so on. Okay, so the same exercise must be repeated for all the values in the matrix because each value will change so many columns and rows. So we cannot take one value or one column at a time, one row or one column at a time. You have to take all of them. Okay, so when you apply this the second time, you get this matrix now. Okay, you get this matrix now, and then you calculate the new summations. Again, you can see the T values and you can see the new factors. Okay, so all the rows have the factors within the range, but what about the columns? See, one of the columns, area 2. Area 2 still has a value out of the range. So now you have to apply the iteration for the third time as well. You have to apply the trial for the third time as well. So third time again, now you take these factors which you can see here, the new factors. Okay, the new factors. Okay, so until all the factors are within within 0.9 to 1.1 range, you will keep on applying the iteration to the whole matrix. Okay, the whole matrix. So each time you will calculate the new summations, calculate the new ratios, the adjustment factors, and check the adjustment factors. If they are not in the range, you apply the next with those newly calculated factors. Okay, and to these values. Okay, so when I was calculating these values, for example, when I was calculating 116, I used the value from the previous iteration. Okay, don't use the initial value. The initial value, if you remember, was 50. Okay, but in the next iteration, I will use the value from the previous iteration. Okay, so to calculate 116, I have used 125. So this is your final matrix now. We had to perform iterations. We have to replace the values 3 times before getting this final. Okay, so it was 116. I multiplied 116 with the average of 0.97 and 0.97, and I got 112. Okay, and so on. Okay, now a few points here. First of all, the diagonal numbers. The diagonal numbers in this matrix, what does it mean? The diagonal number is origin has 1, it has origin of 1 and destination of 1 as well. So these are known as intrazonal trips. Intrazonal trips, trips which started and ended in the same zone or in the same area. Trips which started and ended in the same area, intrazonal trips. Okay. Secondly, if you compare the factor which you got for the first row in each iteration, this factor is getting closer to 1. For example, the factor initial value was 2.63. Next iteration 0.94. Next iteration 0.97. Next iteration, the last one 0.98, or the last value, not the next iteration, the last value 0.98. Okay, same row in each column. So each time when you perform the iteration, all the factors keep on getting closer to 1. Closer to 1. 1 is the, I told you, 1 is the perfect value. Okay, so with each iteration, the factors must be getting closer to 1. So this is like a check. If you want to check if your calculations are correct, because the calculations are so complicated. Okay, it involves so many factors. If you are making a mistake, you will know from here. Okay, just compare the factors with the previous iteration. Are these factors getting closer to 1 or not? If they are getting closer to 1, that means you are on the right track. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll go for the attendance. Okay, again, if you see your name on the screen, raise your hand. Jafar Makki, Adil Al-Taib, Iman Kamil, Sara Amir is here. Okay, Jafar, Adil, and Iman Kamil not here. Haya is here. Okay, Jabir, Mahmoud Mustafa, Khawla Fauzi, Jabir, Mahmoud Mustafa, Khawla Fauzi, Jabir is here. Okay, Hajar is also here. Amr Muhammad, Ahmad Majid, Muhammad, Ahmad Majid, Amr is here. Ahmad Majid, Aisha Muhammad, Ibrahim Abdullah, Dana Isa.
Yes, doctor.
Aisha is here. Ibrahim Abdullah, Dana Isa. Ibrahim is here. Al Hanouf is here. Reem, Nadir is here. Okay. Reem Abdul Hamid, Mishal Fayad, Mahmoud Adil. Reem is here. Mishal Fayad, Mahmoud Adil, Dana Yasir. Mishal Fayad, Mahmoud Adil, both are here. Dana Yasir, Muhammad Khalid, Khalid Qasim. Dana Yasir is here. Muhammad Khalid, Khalid Qasim, Maryam Isa. Maryam is here. Huda Hassan, Fatma Ahmad. Huda Hassan and Fatma Ahmad. Ammar Muhammad, Abdar Amir, Ammar is here, Abrar Amir, Abdurrahman Ali Sadki. Abdurrahman Ali Sadki, okay, he is here. Ahmad Amin and Ghassan Abdurrauf. Ahmad Amin and Ghassan Abdurrauf. Ghassan is here. Okay, section 2. Going to section 2. So people from section 1 can leave, or they can lower their hands. People from section, you can raise your hand or send me a message. So many from section 2, huh? Okay, Zainab Abdul Al. Open all the names. Okay, Zainab done. Leila. Okay, done. Fatma Bladi, okay. Fatma done. Rwan Ibrahim. Ibrahim done. Zainab Abdari, Fawz Adil, okay. Okay, everybody done? Okay. Thank you. See you guys on Thursday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.